Okie here we go. Another day, another dollar. What are we doing? Bede 118. Tum, then, subito, suddenly, quidam, a certain person of tribunal power, of the power of a tribune, with his conjux, with his wife, proceeded into the middle of them. He had a filiam, a daughter, X of years old, 10 years old. She was cacam, blind, and he was offering her to the datives, to the sacerdotibus, to the priests, for curing. What have we got here? The priests praecaparented, so these priests, they gave instructions for her to be offered to the adversaries. But these, terrified or deterred by a bit of punishing in their consciousness, they then joined prayers with the parents, and the curation or the curing of this parvula, this young girl, was averted or deprecanted by the priests, sacerdotes again. Qui, who inclined in the mind were seeing the adversaries, they poured out briefly, breviter, some oration, which is in these days it means prayers, coming from ora for prayers. So I've got two parties here looking. And then Germanus, now he's identified, he's plenus, filled with the Holy Spirit, Sanctu Spiritu, he invoked the Trinity. Neither was there a delay. Something in the accusative was sticking to his side, his latter. Here it is, it's a capsule. There was a capsule sticking to his side with the relics of the sanctorum, of the holy relics of the saints. Grabbed it with his hands and avulsumed it from his neck, which means it's plucked away from his neck. And this is probably the capsule, which is female, and in the side of all, he applied this capsule with the relics of the saints to the oculus, the eyes of the girl. This is male, so it must be the eyes. Starting immediately, these evacuated eyes, these empty eyes, he filled with the light of truth. The darkness had gone. Okay. Parents exalted. The parents exalted. They jumped for joy. The people tremwescated. The people trembled at the miracle. After which day, thus, from the minds of all, this iniquitous persuasion was destroyed. That's the heresy was destroyed. So that, there's a verb, they followed with thirsty desires the doctrine of their priests. They've been corrected. Itiqui. And so, this perversity, damnable perversity, being ablative absoluted, being compressed, suppressed, depressed, whatever you want to do, and with the authors of this heresy all confuted, and what have we got? The minds of all of them composed and settled with the purity of the faith. The sacerdotes, the priests, did something to blessed Albinus the martyr. Acturai means future. They were about to, here we go, about to make thanks, acturai gratias, to God. Pedir means they were seeking. So the priests sought blessed martyr's place. Martyr means he's dead. Where Germanicus, Germanus, one of these priests, having the relics, secum with himself, of all the apostles and of diverse martyrs, he, having factored an oration, having made a prayer, he ordered to be reveled, to be plucked open, the sepulchre. Okay, so this is the sepulchre, the tomb of the blessed martyr. And ibidem, in that same place. If you've ever wrote an essay, you've used ibid before, it means in that same place. Predios munera, very expensive gifts were about to be condijured, about to be put away in there. Arbitrans, present participle, so thinking it opportune that the members of the saints collected from diverse regions, different places, which are pares equally in their merits, heaven had received them. Heaven can be accusative or nominative. I think it's heavens received these accusatives, these saints, that of one sepulchre, of one tomb, should be the hospitium. Hospitium is like an inn where you stay, so it's now going to be the house. This one tomb will be a house for all these saints who are in heaven. Quibus deposited, with these saints deposited honorifically, and society joined together, so all these saints are in the same place, sociarts, however we're going to call it. So all the mixed together. From this place itself, where what have we got here? The sangos of this blessed saint had been effused. So this place where he was killed and his blood had flown out. A mass of dust, about to poured it off with himself, because we're about to carry off a mass of dust from this place where the blood of the saint had been. Abstulit, in which appeared. Servato means it stayed there, it was preserved. So the gore or the blood actually was preserved here. Rubisi means it's gone red. So looks like the martyr's blood was still red, but the guy who persecuted him was pale. So this is probably something to do with the saints being preserved rather lifelike. They're still got the bloodly look about them, and the bad guys are all pale and withered away. Okay. Quibus et Augustus. Were these things done Eodem day? So in that day, an innumerable turba, crowd of homines, of men, were converted to the Lord. Okay, so they saw some miracles and then did it. 119. From whence, when they were returning from this tomb, I'm guessing, the insidious enemy, having prepared a noose, or a snare as they call it, casualibus, something you'd come across, contributed the foot of Germanus. So there was a trap in the way by the enemy, which bruised, you might want to say, crushed the foot of Germanicus, having lapsus, having slipped on an occasion. He was ignorant, just as Job, the most blessed in the Bible. The merits of this saint by an affliction of his body. Propaganda. This means that it's like plants, when they propagate, they grow. So Job was afflicted with a lot of things. Germanus was afflicted here by some bruising, but his the merits were spread more even by this affliction, it looks like. Et dum aliquando. And while for some time he was in one place, held by the necessity of his infirmity, that being that his foot was bruised, in this vicinity, sometimes it's an area of a street or a village, in qua remaining, where he was remaining, a casula, it's a little house, exarcid, was burning, an incendium, which consumed the houses, which there were tegabat, or covered or maybe roofed with horundines, that's reeds from the marshes. Palustroids are like marshes and swampland. Came to this habitaculum, came to this little house. We got diminutive and diminutive, showing it's a small house where Germanus was staying, in which the same guy was lying. So he's in his house lying down. This was Venerable. It was bought by flabruses, which are blasts of winds in stimulating or bringing it on. Casualis for the Daily Dictionary. Fortuitous, or influence dependent on chance. Usually fortuitous things are good-natured, but it can just be depending on chance, so it can be a bad thing as well. Okay. A concursus, a running together of all to the antestate, to the priest. They flew with a concourse. So we've got two cons here, meaning all together. So all together they all ran flying to the priest. so that Elatus, lifted up by hands, this danger, neuter, which was imminent, he could evade. With increpations, which are castigations, he would not allow himself to be moved, presuming or relying on his faith, the presumption of faith or something.